Shalom, this is Brother Shamar from GMSSF SF Bay Camp. First off, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, double honors to our apostles and elders. Shalom to all the Akim out there preaching His word in truth and sincerity. And I was just making this video real quick just to go into how pretty much that the media they releasing pretty much what they release on there for specific reasons, because they know that what they put out there influences the public, and it could cause, and they know the race wars are right around the corner, because I just stumbled upon this article going into it, and it's from SputnikNews.com, and it's titled "Fearing Terrorist Attack, Baltimore Conceals Riot Footage." And it's the first paragraph basically goes into it says, despite receiving numerous Public Information Act PIA requests from one of America's most reputable newspapers, the Maryland Transit Administration has refused to release footage of last year's riots in the fear that it could facilitate the planning of a terrorist attack. And the riots that it's talking about is the Baltimore riots, because the title of the article is "Fearing Terrorist Attack, Baltimore Conceals Riot Footage." So they didn't put a lot of videos that was recorded of the incidents on the media, and that's what the an article goes into it a little bit. It says, I'm gonna jump down in the article. It says, it says the Baltimore Sun has since twice requested the city government to release video footage of that day, which it possesses through the PIA request. The most recent of these requests was denied last week. The Sun asked for many footage within a certain time frame showing emergency personnel inside the Mondawmin metro station, or crowds of police or civilians or bus activity outside the station, reported the paper. However, the MTA denied the request because of Homeland Security concerns. The Sun would have to get permission from the Federal Transportation Security Administration. And it basically says if they was to get I'll read the last section, then go to the point. But if the Sun were to get that permission, it said the MTA would still would deny the footage based on its belief that the footage would reveal the facility's safety and support systems, surveillance techniques, and security systems and technologies, as well as jeopardize the security of the facility and facilitate the planning of a terrorist attack and endanger the life or physical safety of the public. So they already know if they released the footage, pretty much that it would have pretty much made people want to put more people in that spirit, as far as the race war spirit, because that's the only spirit that's been getting pushed in America lately. You got the Trump situation going on. Every time he has a rally, it's different people getting knocked out, beat up, and then it's been more Jace just beating up Edomites or just other nations in general, and America's just collapsing. So it's getting more. They know that it's getting to a point to where when it do collapse, it's gonna be all the tribes of Israel mainly beating up these so-called white people, and they already know it. That's why they scared to put certain footage out there, because they don't want it to happen yet. They know that it's coming though, just like out there in Venezuela. And I'm going to just read this quick scripture going into it. The second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. And that's what the article is going into. Basically saying that they didn't want to release the footage out because they were scared of a possible terror attack, or inciting people to, basically encouraging people to go out there and riot more, Because on social media, it's easy for people to link up. They can all just say we're going to protest at this time or that time, and that's what the article went into, basically saying that everybody met up all at once just because of social media saying they were going to protest, and there was a big ass crowd already about the time the police came out there. But when this economic collapse comes and America collapse in general, it's going to be on a whole different level. People are coming for other people's lives, and they're not going to care about a cop in that day. They're not going to be scared about a badge. That would be the last thing they consider, is that it's actually a cop coming their way, because they worried about their life, how they going to survive, and they going to be mad that they basically fucked over because they've been trusted in America this whole time. And verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and that's already going on now. Esau these other nations and Esau mainly showing his hatred, starting to show his hatred more towards you niggas, Latinos, and Native Americans. He not really hiding his hate no more. He just openly showing it now, and it's lots of different cases out there when they're showing it. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And that's exactly what it's going to be like out there in Venezuela. Ain't nobody stopping them. The course of their actions stand in their power, because ain't nobody stopping them. Every time a truck pull up, they yank the dude out. They rush in stores looking for scraps, anything they can find to eat. They even in dumpsters getting trash, eating animals. That's the next thing coming over here. People gonna actually start eating people. It's gonna be like the road. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because everything gonna be cut off. It's gonna be a so-called terrorist attack. They already putting it out there on the social media as well. They warning that it's a possible attack that might happen in the big games that's coming up out there. I forgot where, but basically out in the new games, in football out there in Europe, I believe. Not in Europe, but the championship cup games, pretty much. They warning that terrorist attack might happen there. Out in England, they warn not they were warning people not to go to clubs and concerts because it might be a terrorist attack. So they just pushing the idea out there more and more, just like the chip. Whatever they push on the media, they keep on saying it so often, and where it gets to a point to where people just soak it in so much now they believe it. But it says the man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. That's why they haven't all the martial law map is broke off into different sections, because you're not going to be able to leave that section you're in, whatever zone you're in. Out of the 10 zones, you're not going to be able to leave. That's where you're going to be stuck at. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. So that's why it's going to be going on in that time, because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. People going to be suffering, barely, because they don't know what's coming on, but we do. So just think about the mind frame that they're going to actually be in when it goes down. You didn't expect any of this to happen. This is just all just spontaneous, you could say, for them. Spare the moment, because they didn't even see it coming. So they just going off a whim, just going with the flow, killing somebody if they have to just to survive, doing whatever is necessary to survive in their eyes. So nobody's going to have pity on the next person. They're worried about themselves. So that's what's coming to America, and before the destruction of this place. It's going to be the chip. It's going to be famine, pestilence, great tribulation. And the final topping, on the icing on the cake, is the missiles. But with that was just the main point. Just wanted to touch on that article. because it's just showing that pretty much that spirit of civil unrest is coming to America. All these different little situations like in Baltimore riots and all them other little Black Lives Matters big protests that they didn't have. It's just gonna build. It's building up to the final, the finale, and that's all. It's all gonna come. It's gonna be all around the same time. Everything just back to back. So with that, I want to give all praises again to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to our apostles and elders, and shalom to the Aki and preaching His word in truth and sincerity, and just keep on pushing this truth, because stuff is coming to pass. We're getting closer and closer each day, every week. Seeing different things coming, showing us that we're getting closer and closer. So all we can do is just keep hastening that day and pushing this word. Shalom.